It's wonderful to have my friend Karma Dorji, Director General of Ministry of Energy of Bhutan, with me.
Thank you for having me here, Your Excellency.
What do you think is the real value added of a country partnership strategy of ISA for Bhutan?
But then Bhutan is so unique because of the scale, because of the geographic, the terrain.
It's wonderful to have my friend Karma Dorji, Director General of Ministry of Energy of Bhutan, with me. And we're going to discuss about country partnership strategy. So Karma, it was wonderful for me to spend a week in September in Bhutan, and we unleashed a range of meetings, but the huge solar potential through the country partnership strategy. What do you think is the real value added of a country partnership strategy of ISA for Bhutan?
Thank you for having me here, Your Excellency. At the outset, I bring warm wishes from our government to ISA, led by Your Excellency. Ever since we have joined the ISA as a member, I think it dates back as early as 4 years from today. What ISA has been able to do with rest of the countries who have actually signed earlier than us, and although we have signed much later, but in the headways, the achievements we have actually gained thus far, I think Your Excellency will agree with us that we have been really steadfast in achieving those and then delivering some of these statements, especially after signing the country strategic partnership, Your Excellency, the one which we had signed as early as April 2024 site. It's just been over a year, and very recently, thank you, Your Excellency, for visiting Bhutan. I think in that, as Your Excellency has touched on, we have already now renewed the country partnership. In that, meaning to suggest that whatever we have signed earlier has been exhausted. So we are actually moving ahead of the sort of the schedules. The value addition, Your Excellency, that we are so proud to claim is that through the ISA's intervention, Bhutan has recently launched this idea, the ambitious goal in terms of achieving 25,000 megawatts of renewable energy addition by 2040. So in that, realizing that although we have the abundance of hydropower potential, Your Excellency, we realize that considering the gestation period that the hydropower is associated with it, and looking at the seasonality challenges that we are confronting in terms of the energy security, we have embarked on doing a 5,000 megawatts, Your Excellency. And where ISA has fit in is converting those ambitions into action, Your Excellency. And to that extent, recently launched National Solar Roadmap has come very handy in that it actually has given us the strategic guidance in terms of which are the potential sites and how to go about, both from the site investigation till you are able to achieve the financial closure. And that solar roadmap fundamentally talks about some of the experiences that ISA has actually, the repository has translated us in terms of where we actually have to start, and so that we don't make the same sort of a mistake, but going in the right direction, Your Excellency. And that, to me, has been one of the greatest sort of value addition that one can think of from the country strategic partnership, Your Excellency.
No, thank you so much, Karma. Not only is there a very clear target of 1,000 megawatt in 4 years, 5,000 megawatt in 10 years, but we are able to break it down into what it means of policy and regulations. There's a technical assistance to the regulator, ERA, and now we are discussing about a solar rooftop program, a solar IPP program, an e-mobility strategy. So there are lots of elements. How do you think it helps Bhutan in terms of its program?
Right, Your Excellency. As we talk about solar, solar in itself is not an end in itself. So there are a lot of the attributes through which we can actually achieve this ambitious goal. And as Your Excellency mentioned rightly, that we are not just looking at the solar, putting up a solar module on the rooftop and on the ground-mounted sort of a solar as a means of actually achieving the target. we are looking at both upstream, downstream, and that's where some of our discussions, as we have enshrined in our country strategy partnership, that ISI is actually going to bring out the whole value chains in terms from the regulatory, from the legal policy, to the extent of how to even go about mobilizing the funds and then achieving those sort of a financial closure. And that actually entails a lot of technical assessment, technical studies, and to that extent, ISS help has come really handy in terms of actually, because as I mentioned, Bhutan is entering this for the first time, and partnering with the ISR would mean then we are actually cutting that sort of a learning curve short. So to that extent, the kind of the works that we have already commenced and achieved are some of these tariff regulatory, for instance, and there we are actually looking at some of these tariff principles. I say this, I emphasize this partly because it may have actually worked elsewhere, even for that matter in India. But then Bhutan is so unique because of the scale, because of the geographic, the terrain, so much to suffice to mention that whatever we are devising in terms of the strategy, in terms of the technicalities, Bhutan does require a lot of customization, and to that extent, the ISS assistance has been very fundamental and very useful for us.
Yeah. That is such an important point, that global knowledge must be locally adapted for it to be really. I think that's a very excellent point. I also want to acknowledge that Bhutan is one of the first countries that has now an operational NSU support unit, because none of this can be done with a strong team on the ground. But we also have a fully functional Star C. I was there in September again for the opening. Tell us a little bit of how you see as the role of Star C.
Well, without going into the, I guess, the details of what the Star C stands for, because Star C has been or will be the flagship sort of the initiatives, the way we see it from the perspective of how ISA builds up these foundational sort of ecosystems. For us, Star C is going to be very important piece in terms of promulgating the solar energy in many ways, because that actually then amounts to building a capacity, using that center as for the testing and certifications of products associated with the solar energy. And at the same time, we see that as a hub in that it builds up the entrepreneurial sort of skills, because at the end of the day, it's not the megawatts or it's not the units of the energy that gets generated out of solar. In that, the real success, especially for us, the way we actually sort of look at that is how many green jobs that would have actually created in terms of the skills, in terms of the complexities that the Bhutanese is able to take that sort of frontier technology. So we see Star C as a center in that which actually embodies much of these expectations and ambitions, aspirations that we see from the solar sort of energy perspective. So to that extent, as Your Excellency mentioned, it's not only operationalized, we have also politically launched this center from 20th of this month. And we have actually, we are working on our plans that we see that it, in the eventual sort of a future, acting as not just the hub for Bhutan, but at least for this region that actually co-creates a lot of innovations in terms of how to take the solar initiative forward.
Thank you so much, Karma. I'm really glad that Bhutan's country partnership strategy is coming out as a role model of working across the solar value chain, working with all the partners, government, regulator, private sectors, and using Star C for CPS implementation. We are really looking forward for ISA to contribute solar to your gross happiness index. Thank you so much for joining us.
Indeed, Your Excellency. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.